Hey guys, I'm back again with another r/ProRevenge, and this one is titled College Professor Grades Me Incorrectly Then Harasses Me Online. Please like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell, and let's get right into it. I've been debating on posting this story for the past couple of years now, and this happened in the middle of my college career. I often find myself thinking about this insane woman and the ridiculous things that happened during this class and the following semester, which is why I wanted to get this story off my chest and hopefully amuse some other people. This post will probably be pretty long because I need to describe all the insane policies / things she did while teaching this class, as well as the aftermath and how I got revenge, so buckle in. First off, I was a college student in my junior year when this incident happened. My college is a pretty good engineering school, and I am a STEM major. I was required to take a professional and technical communications class as a part of my degree. Basically, a class on how to write technical documents and give professional presentations. I consider myself a somewhat awkward person and do not like speaking to large groups, so I knew this class would not be enjoyable. I also have always tried to achieve high grades and work hard in my whole educational career. So while I knew I would not enjoy this class, I also knew it would be like every other class and I would try my best. I am used to difficult engineering courses involving math, algorithms, equations, etc. So while I knew this class would be different than what I was used to, I did not expect it to be overly time-consuming / difficult. Let me just say now, this class took more of my time than all of my other classes combined together that semester. To start, this professor was one of those professors that believed the traditional way of lecturing / taking notes was not effective. Instead, one time a week, she would split the class into groups of 3 to 4 students, give each student a section of a chapter to read, and we would give a short presentation on the material to the class. Now, I understand this was basically a glorified speech / writing class, so I understood where she was coming from and did not complain. However, for every single presentation like this, remember 1 per week, there would be a total of 3 grades for it. She would grade our presentation, a random student not in the group would grade our presentation, and we ourselves would grade our own presentation. This meant that missing even 1 presentation resulted in 3 zeros. So I knew I had to try my best to never miss a class. Obviously, we would always give ourselves 100 when we self-graded, and the random student chosen would always give good grades. But she would always find something wrong and give 80s. This 3 grades per presentation will become extremely important later. Next, she also had frequent writing assignments. I have always done well in English / writing classes. However, she would always grade extremely harshly on these writing assignments, and I would always get high C's or low B's on them, whatever. For the midterm, she had us break into groups of 3 and we had a game show type of test. She would ask random, extremely specific questions from the chapters we gave presentations on, and we had to write the answers on the board. If our answer was unintelligible, basically if she didn't like your handwriting, misspelled, or grammatically wrong in any way, she wouldn't accept the answer. It was completely up to her discretion. If you got the answer right, you got a tally, and the group with the most points got an A on the midterm. The next group got an A-. The next highest group got a B+, and so on. This is hands down the strangest and worst way I have ever seen an exam being given during my college career. But whatever, my group got 3rd, so we got a B+. She also had other random miscellaneous assignments throughout the semester she considered to be in different categories. So we had the chapter presentations, writing assignments, midterm, etc. as different categories. For final grades, as stated in the syllabus, she would calculate your grade for each category, and each category would have a different weight. I don't remember how it went exactly, but presentations could be 20%, writing could be 15%, etc. Now, something I haven't mentioned yet was the category of bonus points. To counteract her harsh grading / ability to lose large amounts of points from missing a presentation, she would give bonus points throughout the semester. So I knew I needed to get as many bonus points as possible to guarantee an A in this class. There were various ways to get bonus points, but I remember the strangest was a basketball competition we had in class that involved throwing paper balls into a trash can across the room, and a paper plane making competition during class. Tuition well spent? During the basketball competition, I was the only one to make the paper into the basket, and honestly, it was super lucky but worth a ton of bonus points. When I successfully made the shot, I was shocked and could tell she didn't expect anyone to make it, but she acknowledged that I had earned the large sum of points. At the end of the semester, she claimed she would apply the bonus points to whichever grading category we were the lowest in, so it would help our grade the most. Another thing I have not mentioned is that my whole life I have suffered from general irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. It was much worse when I was younger, and certain foods trigger it more than others. I mostly have it under control now, but there are still days when I will get diarrhea and stomach pain and I cannot leave a bathroom for an hour. Well, one of those days happened during, you guessed it, one of the in-class presentations. I was unable to go to class that day, which resulted in 3 zeros. Before class had even started, I emailed her explaining that I would not be able to make it to class, and I asked if I could make an appointment with her to discuss it. I knew I would be getting those 3 zeros, so I wanted to show her that I wasn't just skipping class, and I wanted to be as proactive as possible. I had a meeting with her where I explained I have IBS. At the time, it was my mistake of not having it officially registered with my university that I have IBS. But I told her I could easily get her a doctor's note if she would like one. At the time, I was still seeing my pediatric gastrointestinal doctor and had been seeing him since I was a baby, so he's had to write me many notes for school in the past. She acted like it was all fine and she said she would exempt me from those 3 zeros. Even if she wasn't going to remove the zeros, I knew I had about 400 bonus points to make up for it. However, her next ridiculous stunt was about to be performed. About 3/4 of the way throughout the semester, at the beginning of class, one day she informed us that one of the students in my class had gone to the dean, her boss, and stated that the bonus point system was unfair. She informed us that all of the bonus points we had accumulated would be unusable because that student had broken the chain of command and not come to her with the issue. This was a major red flag to me. This was a small class, about 15 students, and throughout the semester we had been complaining to ourselves about her. Complaining about all of the work we were being given, how she grades harshly, and the dumb midterm. As I stated earlier, this class was more time consuming than all of my other classes combined. I believe she had developed a grudge against our class and wanted to take away our bonus points as a punishment. I later found out that no student had gone to the dean about the bonus points, so I can only conclude that I was correct in assuming she just hated our class. She stated that even though we wouldn't get any bonus points, she would drop the lowest grade from a grading category such that it would help her grade the most. Now, it was at the end of the semester, and we would be getting our final grades. There was no final exam for this class. There was a final project that was equally as ridiculous, but I've already said enough about this class's structure. But during exam week, I received an email from her. It basically said that she was unable to exempt me from those 3 earlier zeros because it was unfair to the other students in the class. She was careful to word her email so that she did not admit she had ever exempted me from those zeros. When I checked my grades, she had removed the exempt status from them, and they were now showing as zeros again. By this point, I was just done with this whole class. I didn't want to have to deal with her ever again, so I just accepted it and decided to move on. Like I said, this was during finals week and I was busy studying for many other difficult classes. When she published our final grades, she had given me a B-, which I thought was off. I went to check my grades to calculate it myself to verify, but she had removed all of the individual grades from the gradebook and just replaced it with the final grade. This was a massive mistake on my part because now I had no way to verify it. However, like I said, I just wanted to be done with all of this, so I grudgingly took the B- and moved on. I had a feeling that my grade seemed a little low, and I knew that with those bonus points she had taken away, I could have at least had a B+ or possibly an A-. The next semester rolls around and I had a class with another student from the previous class. As we were talking, we started discussing how dumb that class was, and he mentioned he also got a B- in that class, which he thought was low. He also mentioned how over the break he tried to leave a review for her on one of those college professor review websites. However, he noticed his reviews would always be strangely removed from the website, and there would be many more high-ranking reviews following it. He suspected she was reporting bad reviews of herself to the website to somehow get them removed. There's a feature for this under every review, and then making positive fake reviews for herself. Well, I decided to make an accurate review of my experience of the class, which was obviously negative. I was stunned to see that minutes later it was removed for violating a terms of service. I then began trying to create more negative reviews, and I focused solely on the way the class was, instead of reviewing her as a person. Each and every one of my reviews got taken down. In its place was a new review exclaiming how great the professor was and how some students were out to get her. This seemed to be directed at me trying to make a negative review. But again, I was just describing my negative experiences with the class. I then began to get angry and tried a loophole in the system. I gave her a negative review only containing one sentence that I was sure would not violate any rules of the website, and I reported the negative review myself and gave a bullshit reason for reporting it. I found that the review could only be flagged for review one time, and once it was verified, nothing could be done to remove it. Using this method, I got a few negative reviews to stick and diminish her perfect rating on the website. I could tell this made her mad, as a flood of positive reviews came in. However, these new reviews became oddly specific. It seemed that many of the reviews were directly referencing people in my class. Since this website is all anonymous, I believe she realized that it was someone from our class because in my original reviews, I mentioned she had taken away our bonus points. Well, one of the new specific reviews was definitely mentioning me. The way she wrote it, she was writing the review as if it was me writing it. She wrote things like, I decided to skip class one day and got many zeros, so I went to the professor and told her I had IBS. It did not work and I got a low B instead of an A. I was furious when I saw this because now I knew it had to be her doing this. I had not told anyone else that I had a meeting with her to discuss that incident, let alone that I had IBS. At this point, I decided this was getting too serious and I decided to stop messing with her on this website. I now believed this lady was insane and I did not want to press her further. So I was satisfied with the couple of negative reviews I got to stick, and I thought that was it. I'm so glad that wasn't the end because this is the beginning of my revenge, even if I didn't know it at the time. The next day, I get an email from the Dean of Students saying that I was required to meet with them to discuss it. I was extremely surprised by this, and I already suspected it was related to this lady and the review website. Before the meeting, I had to call the office to acknowledge I had received the email and set up a meeting time. I asked the receptionist over the phone if she could give me any more information on why I was meeting with the dean. I played dumb on the phone, and she said she had received an email from the review website saying that I specifically had been harassing this lady online. At this point, I was still in contact with some of the other students from the class, and a few of them had also been summoned to the dean, even though I was the only one involved with the review website. This told me she didn't know exactly who was doing it. So now that I was going to the dean of students about this, I knew I now had the perfect chance for revenge. I wanted to be as prepared as possible for this meeting, so I began gathering all of my evidence. First, I wrote down a bullet point list of the crazy ways she taught the class, including the bonus point fiasco, midterm tests, harsh grading, how my individual grades were replaced with the final grade so I could not verify, and anything else I could think of. Next, I contacted some people that I had taken the class with and asked if I could use them as a witness. They all gladly agreed and said they could confirm the things that happened during the class, especially her taking away the bonus points. Some of the students were the ones who already were summoned to the dean and some were not. Then I got the screenshots of her referencing my IBS on the review website, and I decided to contact the website myself. I sent an email describing how I was being summoned to my university's dean, and they claimed they got a complaint from the website. They replied back saying that their website was completely anonymous and they would never contact a university like this, proving that it must have been the professor pretending to be the website when she reported me. Coincidentally, I had actually had further tests at the time for my IBS, and I had a doctor's appointment anyways. So I got a new doctor's note proving that I have IBS to corroborate my 3 zeros being exempt than not exempt. Additionally, I also brought the test results further proving my IBS. With this mountain of evidence, I felt extremely prepared. When I went, I basically recounted the entire story as I described it above, and I showed all of my evidence. Not only did the dean believe me, but they had already concluded that the email received from the review website was fake and did not actually come from them. The dean was extremely helpful, and when I described that I believed I could have been graded unfairly because my grades were hidden, and how I knew my grade would have been better with the bonus points, she mentioned meeting with another dean, who was the professor's boss. I said I wanted to escalate the situation and I would love to have a meeting with him, and she helped me set up an appointment with the other dean. The meeting with the dean of students ended with her basically saying they would be investigating this lady. I do not know the exact details of the meetings with the other students, but I know they had similar stories as far as their classroom experiences. Next, I had the meeting with the other dean. When I met with him, I basically described the whole story again. He had already talked to the previous dean, so he knew most of the story already. He was able to request my individual grades. I was able to go through them and I found out that she had in fact graded me incorrectly. Even without the bonus points, I was able to see that my grade should have been a B+, even with those 3 zeros. She had given me a B-. If you factor in the bonus points, my grade was an A flat. This dean was extremely apologetic and my grade was changed from a B- to an A. He also told me, off the record, that no student had come to him during the semester to complain about the bonus points, so she had taken them away just because she didn't like our class. Now, I don't know for sure, but I believe she had graded everyone in my class incorrectly, and given us all grades that were lower than what they should have been. My meeting with this dean ended with him saying he would be investigating her as well. This all happened at the end of the semester. I originally took the class in fall, and I spoke with the dean / got my grade changed at the end of the following spring. But I had one final meeting with the dean of students the following fall, 1 full year from when I originally took the class. From that meeting, I learned that she no longer worked at the university, but she couldn't confirm whether she was fired for this incident or not. I have a strong feeling she was fired as a result of this, and I have a strong feeling she has graded my entire class incorrectly. In the end, I wouldn't have gotten my revenge if she didn't stupidly report me to the dean using a fake email, so I'm actually glad about that. I am extremely glad I took the time to compile all my evidence against her. I wouldn't have gotten my revenge if I just went with my story. If you have read this for this long, thank you. I hope all this makes sense, and I'm just glad I never have to see or deal with this lady again. Thank you guys for watching. Please comment below and let me know if there's any other subreddits you guys would like me to make videos on, and also like the video and please subscribe.